To continue with the AI Summit. We're going to dive deeper into the second pillar of the AI work that we do, and that's all around assistants. And assistants are AI-powered agents or user experiences that come within the applications that you or your customers use on a daily basis. And you can see that there are quite a few of them. There's an assistant for Pro, there's an arcade assistant in Map Viewer, and there are assistants throughout the ArcGIS platform that are part of the experiences and the apps that come with the platform. And AI assistants are scoped to your data and your tools. They work alongside of you, they collaborate with you, they understand your intent, they translate your natural language, they retrieve knowledge, they learn from the conversations that you're having, they suggest actions, and if you want them to, they also execute these actions. Assistants themselves are an opt-in feature, and they're quite new to the organization. So your administrator can use it and opt your identity, your user name into allowing the use of AI assistants. And this is an important first step to providing you with a choice of whether you or your customers want to use assistants. We talked about trust in ArcGIS when we first kicked off the AI Summit. And because AI is rapidly evolving, organizations want to make sure that they're using AI in a responsible manner. And so to help you, we on our trust site, trust.arcgis.com, we've got outlines, guidelines, and principles all around AI. We talk about the security that we use, the transparency, the fairness, the accountability, the models that we use in our AI, and the purpose is to instill a sense of trust in you that we're implementing AI in a responsible manner. We're now going to go through a number of the assistants, and my colleagues are here to dazzle us with some excellent demonstration. And the first assistant is the Pro Assistant. And with it, you can do many things. Yes, of course, you can access the help documentation, but you can do a lot more powerful things like perform analysis or generate SQL expressions or perhaps cipher queries against graph databases. You can ask it to generate ArcPy code in an effort to automate your workflow. So there's a lot of activities and things that you can have the Pro Assistant do, and probably the best way to see some of this is to hand it over for a demo, and for that I'd like to ask Ashish to give us a demo.
Thanks, David. AI assistants are now integrated in ArcGIS Pro. It can guide us with GIS workflows and also helps in writing ArcPy scripts. Let's see these assistants in the action in the context of vehicle routing problem analysis, optimizing deliveries across Delhi. As you can see here, we have multiple warehouses and a set of customer orders. And our objective is to classify the routing of fleet of vehicles to minimize delivery time while respecting constraints like vehicle capacity and time windows. This is a classic delivery challenge faced by multiple logistic companies every day. So instead of manually configuring everything, I'll ask the AI assistant in a natural language to suggest the right tool to solve this problem. Here, as you can see, I have given a simple prompt in a natural language that how to optimize the routing of fleet of vehicle. The AI is looking for the tools that are available in the ArcGIS Pro, which are most suitable for our problem. So as you can see, it is processing. And to save the time, I have already done that. Here the answer it has given me. So it has given me the detailed approach to do the analysis. For example, it has explained me that what are the inputs that are required to do the analysis and what is the tool that we need to choose for the analysis. So let's follow what the assistant has suggested us. I will simply ask the assistant to launch the vehicle routing problem analysis layer. Once we ask this query, it will set up me a VRP layer where I can simply fill in my details like in orders, the depots, the breaks that we should take in between the routing. So here it has opened me a analysis tool and auto populated all the layers. I will simply apply OK and it will create me a layer. So as you can see, when we switch into the VRP layer, it has defined what are the orders, depots, the routes that should be prioritized and the breaks that should be taken. Now ask the AI to solve the problem. I have written the prompt that solve the network analysis, and after all populating all the layers, I can simply hit the run to do the analysis. So while it is running, here as you can see I have two VRP layers and it has already populated the VRP layer that I have created now. So I will click apply and do the analysis. Now the tool computes the most efficient delivery routes while automatically handling constraints like capacity and time windows. So for the interest of time, I have already calculated this layer, and as you can see, it has given me different colored routes and with the stop sequences that are in between the routes, and it has also given me the logical groupings of the delivery routes. So each vehicle now follows an optimized path, reducing overlap and unnecessary travels across the city. So to further enhance that visualization, I have converted this layer into a 3D output. As you can see, all the vehicles are now following their designated path along with their designated route. And this can also be extended platforms like ArcGIS 3D and inputting the 360 imagery, enabling immersive ground level validation and validation of the delivery location. For example, I will zoom into a particular order where I can click onto a location, and as you can see, it has given me the output for that particular order. So this will tell us that how the vehicle can be go on to that location, and it can give me the awareness of the location and also tells that the vehicle is drivable to that particular location or not. So to summarize this demo, it knows how AI powered geospatial analysis in ArcGIS Pro can transform complex logistic problems into efficient data driven solutions, enabling faster decision with significantly less manual effort. Thanks, David.
Okay, Ashish. Excellent demonstration, Ashish. Thank you. And so that was a pretty powerful demonstration showing some of the flexibility that the Pro Assistant has in doing analysis. But as we just spoke about, the Pro Assistant can do a lot more than analysis. And one of the other tasks it can perform is automation. So it can create ArcPy code or scripting language for you so that you can automate your daily workflows. And so to show us this feature in the Pro Assistant, I'd like to hand it right back over to Ashish.
Thank you so much, David. Now let's begin with the capabilities in AI Assistant to generate the ArcPy scripts. As you can see, India's eastern coastline, especially Odisha, is highly vulnerable to cyclones originating from the Bay of Bengal. Over the years, cyclones like Cyclone Fani and Cyclone Amphan have caused massive damage to infrastructure, livelihoods, and human lives. In such situations, time is critical. The faster we can analyze the impact, the faster authorities can respond. Here, I have a workflow that will take the inputs like cyclone tracks and population data to do the analysis. Traditionally, performing this kind of geospatial analysis and identifying affected regions takes time and requires writing complex scripts. But during a disaster, we don't have that luxury. This is where ArcGIS Pro AI Assistant comes in. Here, as you can see, I have cyclone tracks data approaching to the Odisha coast, along with the population data. So now I'll ask the AI assistant to generate the code for me. I'll simply ask that generate me ArcPy code to create a 25-kilometer buffer around the cyclone tracks, then clip it within the Odisha state boundary. I have simply given the prompt to the assistant, and within seconds it will generate me a ArcPy code. It is taking some time. As you can see, here is the output. Now I will simply copy this code and paste it in the notebook and swap these output paths within our directories and run this code to generate the output. So in the interest of time, I have already ran these codes. So as you can see, here I have the outputs. Like, these are the generated outputs that it has given me. Here it has given me the buffer zones along with the tracks, and these are 25 kilometers. Then it has clipped it within the Odisha's state boundaries. Here are the outputs. Now, identifying the affected regions, I will ask the assistant to intersect these boundaries. I'll ask the code to intersect cyclone impact zone with the district boundaries that I have available and add the field that affected area in percentage for each district. And it has given me the code. I will apply the same procedure that I have done before. So here are the results. Within the attribute table, it has added a new table called affected area in percentage, as it has given me in the code. As you can see, it has added the affected area in percentage. So based on the buffer zones that it has created, it has given me the affected area in percentage. And similarly, it has also added the spatial join, and we have quick estimate of the affected population based on the affected area. For example, to further extend, it has the affected population based on the affected area, as you can see. So to summarize, the disaster scenarios like cyclones in Odisha, speed saves lives. With AI Assistant in ArcGIS Pro, we can rapidly generate insights, support decision making, and enable faster emergency responses. This is the power of combining AI with geospatial intelligence. Thank you so much, everyone. Over to you.
Excellent. Ashish, thank you for that. So Ashish was able to put together a fully automated workflow using ArcPy without writing any ArcPy itself, just using natural language and intent within the assistant. So the assistant that comes with Pro is very powerful. However, there may be tasks and actions that you as developers don't see that Pro supports that you would like to implement. And the Pro Assistant itself sits upon a framework that allows you to do that. So you can use the .NET Pro SDK and write custom AI extensions so that the assistant can do things that it can't by default as it comes with the software. And there are, as with all of our developer tooling and technology, there's a number of resources, samples, snippets, guidelines, and best practices available for you in order to get your work done. So to see how we can extend the Pro Assistant, I'd like to hand it over to Rishi to show us that.
Thanks, David. ArcGIS Pro Assistant is a great starting point for interacting with your environment, as we have seen from the Ashish presentation. When your task requires multiple tools with multiple data sets, you need something more programmable. That's where the ArcGIS Pro SDK for .NET comes in. With the SDK.NET, you can extend the assistant's capability to autonomously coordinate multiple actions, from browsing data, performing spatial analysis, and summarizing the results. And to light this up, we are going to solve a challenging task today: planning a transmission route. I have here the start and end point of a proposed route and land use that is aggregated on sub-district level. First, I want to understand my landscape for laying out the plan. For planning, you know that agricultural crossings need to be managed carefully for transmission routes. Normally, I would open this attribute table and look for agriculture related classification, run some filters, but today, let's see how we can do with the assistant. I'm going to my assistant and ask, analyze crops and tree cover data at each sub-district and provide me top 3 by area. Now the assistant will take this layer, queries it, and filters out the tree and crop classification and provides the top 3. As we have seen, that top 3 sub-districts with highest coverage of crops and trees with area. This would help me to narrow down my agricultural crossings for the path. Without having to open attribute table or filters, we could able to do this. Now, let's get to the core of transmission planning, that is finding the least cost path between these 2 points. I have here the preloaded overlays such as land use, elevation, and road proximity. This would act as a deciding factor for our plan. With these layers, I'm going to ask my assistant to run the least cost path analysis, and I have pointed out which is the start and end point and which are the overlays to use, and I also mentioned what weightage to be used. So it uses these, the assistant will extracts the weightage from the prompt, runs the weighted overlay analysis, and feeds that to the distance accumulation and finds the least cost path. So 3 geoprocessing tools, chained, sequenced, and executed automatically. We can see all the intermediate layers that has been populated: cost surface, distance accumulation, and back direction. And now we have the path for these 2 points with the weightages that we have provided. Now, our stakeholders don't just need a line on a map. They need to know the logistics, the cost, the reasoning. They basically need the answers for why this plan is good. So we use our third extended capability, summarization, and I'm asking the assistant to use the results from the LCP, get the characteristics, length, and provide the reasoning. The assistant will now take this line, calculates the length, looks at all the underlying overlay that we have used, and provides me an insightful report. It intersects with all the overlay layers that we have used, and the report is here. The total length of the path is 86.42 kilometer. and here it says that the rangeland is 75%. It is giving us the statistics that 75% of the path crosses on the rangeland, and here it is providing the reasoning which offers low obstruction. So it's not just returning the numbers, it is reasoning over these numbers, turning statistics into a language that we can act on. Let's look at how I did this. I have my Visual Studio opened here, and the AI Assistant extension is enabled as an add-on, and here I have a description of this particular extension describing the intent to the LLM when the request comes in, call such certain functions. And I also have list of rules to be followed based on the actions that we have been coordinating together. Multiple actions are called upon on these rules. And let's take a closer look at the summarization that we performed at the end. And here we can see all the overlays has been loading as an input. As we go down, it taking the LCP result and calculating the length in kilometers. And if we go down, it is generating sampling points along these lines and extracts the raster values which are overlays, and it will pass it on to the summary statistics and gets us the summary. To recap, the assistant can, with the help of SDK for .NET, you can extend the assistant's capability to coordinate multiple functions. First, we browse through our data for agricultural crossings. Second, we perform the least cost path analysis. And lastly, we brought it all together. By summarizing the results with reasoning, we have built an actionable intelligence, and all done in conversation. Thank you. Over to you, David.
Okay. Rishi, excellent demonstration, extending the Pro Assistant, linking or stacking all of those geoprocessing tools together. Good demonstration there. There are other ways in which the Pro Assistant can be customized. We can also customize the look and feel of the assistant such that it blends very tightly into our customized or focused workflow. You can also, behind the scenes, use the LLM of your choice as well. And so to show us how to further extend the Pro Assistant, specifically an assistant for LandStack, I'd like to hand it over to Sribhadra. So while Sribhadra is getting set up there, what she is going to show is customizing from two ways. One is the visual, implementing the assistant such that its theme and it's blended very well into her solution, and also on the back end by choosing the LLM of her choice so that the assistant can communicate and use that specific LLM. So, Sribhadra, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, David. As data volumes grow, accessing the right information quickly can be difficult for day-to-day operations. And in departments which handle large volumes of sensitive data, having an offline AI assistant can help you simple natural language queries to work with large volumes of data. So today, let's see how we can create a LandStack assistant within ArcGIS Pro to work with land records data. Here I have a land parcel boundary along with the property details in each parcel. Each location contains details of inhabitants along with several other attribute information. Each parcel may contain multiple property records. Property details are stored in multiple layers most of the time. Hence, filtering a specific set of data may require complex SQL queries. In such scenarios, having a custom AI assistant where users can ask queries in simple natural language can save a lot of time. Here, we have created a LandStack assistant which has been added as an add-in within ArcGIS Pro. Let's begin with some simple queries. I wanted to know all properties owned by a particular owner, so I am asking list properties owned by that owner name, and immediately it returned that this person owns 2 properties along with the property details like property type, usage and locality. This was a very quick way to get the summarized information. Similarly, we can also have multi-layer queries. Here I have my land parcel data in one layer and property details in another layer. Let's see whether any encroachment is happening in the government owned land. So I am giving another query. Select all properties in government land. And immediately it selected all the government parcels and returned that no properties found in government land, which means that no encroachment is happening here as per the records. Now let's see something more interesting. I quickly wanted to generate a PDF report on all the properties in vacant land. So I am giving another query, give a detailed report on vacant land properties. See how quick was it? It immediately generated the report and saved in this particular location. Let's see whether it has generated a report. So here we can see one report has been generated just now at 2:45 p.m. Let's have a closer look at the report that has been generated. So this is the report containing detailed information on all properties in the vacant land. So there are 31 properties in vacant land and the property details are being displayed in tables. So now you will be wondering how we can build this. So the workflow to build this is almost same as how you build a custom add-in using ArcGIS Pro SDK for .NET. But here, to take our natural language query as an input and to initiate actions based on that, we have created an Olama service.cs file where our locally installed GPT model is called. Here we have given a context and we also gave some examples so that the model understands what exactly we want. And based on the user query, a request will be created to the model and finally we will get the processed result. Since the model runs locally, it also ensures data privacy while still giving the flexibility of AI-driven interaction. This combination of custom add-in and large language model makes it possible to bring AI assistance directly into GIS workflow, which will help you to work with complex spatial data. Thank you. Back to you, David.
Excellent. Thank you, Sribhadra. Excellent demonstration, taking the customization of the Pro Assistant to the next level. The next assistant is an assistant we've actually seen throughout the 3 or 2.5 days that you've been here, and that's the Arcade Assistant. So Arcade, many of you know, is a powerful scripting language that's supported across ArcGIS, but the Arcade Assistant isn't just found in the map viewer, it's also in the Field Maps Designer application, it's in Experience Builder, and it's even in Scene Viewer as well. So the Arcade Assistant is one of our more popular assistants. However, one of my favorite assistants, and it's quite new and I think will become very popular, is the Notebooks Assistant. And this helps in, yes, task automation, but also data engineering and analysis workflows. And really the assistant helps you do 3 things. It can generate Python code, it can fix your Python code, and it can also explain Python code as well. And so it's optimized for the latest version of the Python API. And to give us a demonstration of the Notebook Assistant, I'll hand it back over to Rishi.
Thanks, David. How many of you have ever looked into a piece of code written by someone else, maybe a colleague, and thought, what is happening here? Many of us, right? We are going to change that today. Notebook Assistant can help you to write, explain, and troubleshoot Python code. And let's look at how these 3 skills work in action. The first thing I want to do is understand what this code is doing. I can go line by line, but instead I will ask my assistant to explain this code and copy this from the cell. Since this cell does a lot, I need a clean breakdown of what each step is so I can verify the intent before I can start run anything. I am expecting a plain language summary of what each step is, what are the libraries are loaded, which filter is being used, and what are the expected output. It is especially powerful when you are onboarding a new team member or when you are picking up someone else's work. You don't need to spend time on documentation or disturb your colleague for picking up the work. Let's wait for some time to generate. I think we can go ahead with the already loaded one. Let me just find it out. So this is the exact same query that has already been done, and it tells us the response with the step-by-step approach of what happened in the code. First, it imports the necessary libraries, and it is importing the weather data from the IMD API. Then it is accessing the power plants, solar power plants from the Living Atlas. And then it is extracting the weather data at each solar power plant. And then it is classifying the solar power plants based on the heat data that we have extracting from the weather. So it categorizes the power efficiency on each solar power plant and pushes that to the ArcGIS Online. So I can run this confidently now, since I know what are the steps that has been taken. Now I have this layer on ArcGIS Online, and when I try to visualize this in a map, I get an attribute error. Normally you would copy this error and search for answers, but today I let my assistant to fix it. And we can see this also been loaded. Let's try with this. I'm asking my assistant, why does this code fail? And I copy this incorrect code from the cell and generate. So behind the scenes, the assistant will look for the latest documentation and examples of ArcGIS API for Python. It understands what is current and what is deprecated. It usually reads the code, understands the context of the code, and provides the correct version with an explanation of what was wrong. And it has returned. I think there is some, let me load the previous one. And here we can see that error comes from add layer, but it is implementing add, not add layer. So it is asking me to replace add layer with add. So I'm just going to do the same. Replace add layer with add and run to see whether the assistant was able to fix the code. So while checking the current and old documentation, it has found out that I have been using the old syntax, that is add layer. And well, it fixed my code. Now the map is visualizing. We can see all the solar power plants across the nation categorized based on the weather impact. We can see particular solar power plant. This solar power plant in Telangana currently has high power loss with 12 to 15% because of the temperature. Now let us go one step further. I want to visualize this in a chart where I can group these solar power plants based on the power efficiency category, like high, moderate and low. It would give me a clean breakdown of how the weather is impacting the solar power plants across the country. So I go to my assistant to ask it to write a code to plot an interactive bar chart. I pointed out which field to use and which layer to use, and let's run generate. So now the assistant will uses its general knowledge of Python and data science. As a JS programmer, I might know all mapping libraries, but not necessarily the chart libraries and its functions. This would give me an advantage of getting into those lines. And it usually gives us the clean code with good formatting. So I'm expecting a clear bar chart where each power category is being grouped by solar power plants. So it gave me the code now. I will just insert it right into the notebook and run it. Let's see, it could give me a chart. The code is running now. Yeah, the bar chart is here. You can see all the legend has been already generated by the notebook assistant. Around 629 solar power plants are currently in moderate power efficiency, 8 to 12%, and it is interactive as well. So I can keep on going from here. Density analysis, buffers, and complex other JS workflows. The assistant can help me to scaffold any of it. To recap what we have done, the assistant helped me to understand an unfamiliar code. It fixed my code and it created the data visuals. And that's how the notebook assistant can help you to stay focused on the solution rather than the syntax. Thank you. Back to you, David.
All right. Excellent, Rishi. Thank you very much. Excellent demonstration. This next assistant is an assistant that you might not know existed, and that's the assistant for business analysts, the BA app. And like the other assistants, it's designed to improve your productivity. You can use natural language to compare sites on a map. You can translate reports into multiple languages, and you can chain multiple functions or analyses together in a single prompt. So like the other assistants, the BA assistant is there to help you with your productivity in the BA app. And to show us a demonstration of this assistant, I'd like to hand it over to Diksha.
Thanks, David.
Yeah.
Let's start with business analyst assistant. As someone working in tourism sector, it's difficult to answer some critical questions. Let's say I am working with Rajasthan Tourism Department and we are trying to answer a critical question where we should invest next to grow tourism. Traditionally, answering this is not easy. It requires field survey, collecting data from various sources and analyzing everything manually. But now we have business analyst assistant. We can do this faster and in a data-driven way. To answer this, we will look at three things: what already exists, where the demand is, and where we should invest. So let's start with what already exists. Here I have Rajasthan boundary. This is our study area. I will open the assistant and use a prompt. Search for travel in Rajasthan and generate. Assistant is pulling data from enriched business data set, so we don't need to do anything manually. The search is complete. We just need to add POIs to the map. It will take few seconds to add the result. Now we can see a hotel, restaurant and travel services across the state. This helps us to identify where the tourism is strong and where it is limited. We can also see top travel agencies and key industries in Rajasthan. This helps us to quickly identify where the tourism is strong and where it is limited. So in just few seconds, we understand what already exists. Now let's move to the next step. Because POIs are not enough, we have to also analyze the demand. I will ask assistant to create a map of recreation spend in Rajasthan and generate. This time, assistant combines the location data with spending data, which is hard to do manually. We can also refine this by selecting the variables. I will select 2024 recreational services total and create map. It will take few seconds to create a color coded map. It is creating, and now we can see a color map where dark regions represents the high spend and lighter regions represents the low spend. We can clearly see cities like Jaipur, Jodhpur and Bikaner as high spended area. So now we also know where people are spending their money. Now let's take this further. Because Jaipur is high demanded area, I will ask assistant to create a spending report for Jaipur, Rajasthan and generate. It will take few seconds to create a report, and it is. Here we can see multiple report options like spending behavior, reports with demographic facts and tabular report. I will choose tabular report and run. It will take few seconds to create a spending report for Jaipur, Rajasthan. So, this is the report. So, in just few steps, we get a detailed report with a full breakdown for Jaipur, Rajasthan. We can save this report for further use. So, from this analysis, we can say that Jaipur is high demanded area, people are spending more money and it is a strong place to investment. And these reports are not just for analysis, we can share this result as a map and PDF. And reports can be used for presentation and making decisions. So in conclusion, we went from what already exists, where the demand is and where we can invest. So this is the power of business analyst assistant. Less effort, faster analysis and accurate decisions. Thank you. Over to you, David.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Diksha. Excellent demonstration showing the BA assistant. Our next couple of assistants are also very focused. This next one is an assistant for the Survey 123 application. And it allows you to translate forms or surveys in over 100 different languages, but it can also help with the creation of surveys. So you're looking at some examples of prompts here: create a fire hydrant inspection form, or create a survey to gather feedback after a town meeting. And one of the newest capabilities in this assistant is to take a paper or a piece of paper that's been digitized, either to PDF or maybe it's been scanned, and take this and create a form from it in Survey 123. So to show us this and some of the other powerful capabilities of the assistant, I will hand it back over to Ashish.
Thanks, David. Today, I want to show you something that feels a little magical inside Survey 123 Assistant. We all know one common problem in every project. The maps are ready, the dashboards are ready, but the survey form is still stuck in a PDF, Excel sheet, or even in a scanned paper form. And building that form manually can take hours. But what if we could skip all of that? With this new Survey 123 Assistant beta capability, we can simply upload an existing file and the assistant turns it into a working Survey 123 form in minutes. So let's take this example. I will simply upload an PDF format and upload it in the assistant. So till that it is processing, here I have a large village survey form containing all types of questions. All types of questions regarding the infrastructure, road, schools, water, electricity, etc. Normally, this would take a long time to rebuild it manually. But now, I just have uploaded the PDF and say create a Survey 123 form from this file. Now the assistant will generate me a draft. As you can see, it has given me a draft with all types of questions within it, and we can simply hit generate to create a survey form. So after creating this survey form, it has given me organized sections of all the questions that are available in the questionnaire. As you can see, it has given and identified all the sections and given the appropriate elements according to the questions. For example, the date of survey in the date format, the surveyor name is in a alphabetic format, and the contact number is in the numerical format. So what used to take hours now take minutes. Let's make it even better. Here I have a Hindi medical questionnaire. Now let's upload it in the assistant. The assistant reads this image, understands the questions, and detects the scoring scale and converts it into a digital Hindi form. Let's take a look into a generated form. Before that, here is a draft. You can see it has also suggested the name for the survey question. For example, it has suggested me the title for the survey form, and here is a look of the survey form that it has created. It has identified the scoring scale that is already available in the survey form, and you can further publish it and look it in the another versions, like if you want to publish it as a phone or in a tablet view, so you can look it among all them. So then that means all the respondents can generate the answers on a phone or a device instead of filling papers in the form. By automating survey creations, logic and structures, teams can deploy form faster while reducing design mistakes. This means quicker data collection, cleaner responses, and better decision making. In summary, Survey 123 Assistant transforms survey creations from a technical task into a simple conversation. It helps organization move faster, collect better data, and focus insights instead of form building. Thank you so much. Over to you, David.
Okay. Ashish, thank you very much. So that assistant for Survey 123 is quite powerful. Excellent demonstration. The final assistant that we're going to be highlighting is one of the newer assistants. And actually, I thought that the Python assistant would be quite popular, but this one might even be more popular, because I have a question for everyone. How many of you enjoy creating and writing metadata for all of the layers that you have in your GIS system? None of you. I'm not surprised. I don't enjoy it either. However, we have an assistant for that. It's called the Item Details Assistant. And the irony with this assistant is, in order for layers and items to participate in an effective way in an AI ecosystem, it needs good metadata. So what better than to use an AI assistant to create good metadata so that the item can participate much more effectively in an AI workflow. So in order to show us this new assistant, I'll hand it right back over to Diksha for another demonstration.
Thanks, David. As GIS analysts, we deal with this most of the time, opening a data set and trying to figure out what everything actually means, especially when it is shared by someone else. The data is there, but without proper metadata, it takes time to understand and even more effort to reuse and share it. Let's see how Item Detail Assistant help us to create metadata faster and more efficiently. Here I have an urban development web map. It includes admin boundaries, point of interest, along with their road network and land use data. This data is used for infrastructure planning and to monitor urban growth. but I'm planning to share this web map with my colleagues who may not familiar with this data. Now, typically users go to the item page to understand the data. But here we can see that the metadata is missing or not very descriptive. To simplify this, we have Item Detail Assistant. It helps us to create metadata more complete and ready to use. It also helps to make data discoverable, more AI ready, and how it appears on map. This assistant is currently available in beta in both online and enterprise. Now let's see how it works. On item page at right side we have suggest. I will click on suggest again. Now assistant start analyzing the data set. It generates suggestion for title, summary, description and tags. Instead of writing everything from scratch, we get a strong starting point instantly. It will take couple of seconds because tool is actually analyzing the structure of data set, looking at the layer, field and attribute to understand what the data represent. This part takes most of the time when we do it manually, especially when we are dealing with large data set. So this is the result. Now these suggestions can be reviewed, edited or accepted by the user. Once saved, the metadata will update on item page, and here we can see that title, summary, description have been updated. Now let's move to the next tab, data tab. Here we can see the field and their information. We can see that some of field names are unclear and abbreviated, which makes the data harder to understand. We can select all field or some specific field which we want to update. I will select few field and click suggest. This time assistant is analyzing each field individually. Assistant is trying to make field more readable and meaningful. It will take few seconds because assistant is looking at the field in details, looking at the layer, value, field name and context. It's just not about renaming the field, assistant is actually understanding the data. Now we can see that assistant improves the field display name, description and value type for the fields we have selected. Select field and save. It will take few seconds to update the final data for the fields we have selected. So here we can see that road class. So it is the field display name which is updated by assistant and the description and value type. So in conclusion, in this demo we saw the incomplete or missing data and we use the item detail assistant to improve both item level and field level metadata. Now we can see that the data is more structured and easier to understand. And the assistant helps us to do this faster, efficient and smarter. Always remember, good data can create good map, but good metadata makes data usable.